Hello, everyone. I want to welcome a global audience and thank you for joining us as we tackle improving revenues with multi-channel distribution on the cloud. My name is Skylar Matson, and I'm president of Wong Duty, the global experience and design platform for Infosys. I'm going to move into this final area of exploration about emerging trends, digital distribution channels, what's coming next. And I'd like to invite Dr. Mukkadim Pathan to come join me. And Mukkadim, the first question I have for you is, how is innovation in the media supply chain and OTT streaming amplifying the digital distribution opportunities?
Fantastic question. So before I go and talk about the innovation aspect, let's follow through some of the comments that Anand and Buzz has made. So if you really look at what's happening in the industry, is that streaming became an essential service, and the audience at home, they have got too many choices. So if we are not differentiating in the way we are offering the streaming service, so that means that we are not really resonating with the customers. And innovation plays a major role in the way we can differentiate. So if you look at what the market data is showing, that an average household in the US is willing to spend only $21 per month for streaming service. So how many streaming service can you fit in there? Maximum 3. So if you are not up there, if you are not differentiating, you are not giving intuitive, interactive, and simple experience to the users. So that means you are going bottom down in the list, and you are not in the top 3 where customers are spending money to access your streaming service. Now then, if we look at what is happening as far as the innovation, and what I really call it is experiential innovation that is happening, is now we are talking about streaming not only in the sense of video, but in the form of societal engagement. And even beyond that, how we can bring in the content to home, like direct to consumer type relationship, where we are no longer going to the sports stadium and we are watching sports. We are rather trying to figure out how we can bring stadium to home, or how we can bring movie theater to the audience, or even things like what there are other additional services. So be it some health services, be it some government services, and those services as a value-added function being available in addition to streaming within the streaming services offering. So then the streaming service is becoming not only the essential element, but also it's creating a whole home ecosystem where you go and turn on the TV, or you go and turn on a Amazon Fire Stick, and the app that you are accessing, that app is taking you to the entertainment, that app is taking you to other social media sites, it's taking you to other services, be it health, well-being, yoga, you name it. So I want to give one particular example where I personally am very proud of. Under Sling TV, that when the pandemic started, we identified the need to bring the people together so that they can have a co-viewing experience. So we went through a very brief sprint of 2 months, and we have built a solution. We call it Watch Party. And in that Watch Party solution, so be it a live event such as the presidential debate, or be it the live sports, or even video on demand movies, so we can bring people together where they can interact with each other through video. They can watch the content together. So the content is synchronized across Skylar, you and me watching. We are watching the same video, as well as we have a chat interface where we can chat and we can talk about if we are liking a certain clip within the movie or not. So that form of innovation, what it is doing is it's driving user engagement, and it is giving that differentiation. And there are so many more such innovations that we are looking into. And at the end of the day, the vision that we are working towards is how we can bring in the content providers, we can bring in third-party application vendors and application providers, and the differentiated experience all in one place, and then user get this complete package.
Wow, I love it. This idea of watch party. I mean, I can imagine in sports, if you want to watch with a friend who's rooting for the other team and you can just trash talk right there up on the screen, that is such a more engaging experience. I want to go back to what you were talking about, the full experience. I mean, I'm thinking, I want the movie theater in my home, but I need that popcorn. It'd be great if I could somehow connect my DoorDash delivery into this entire system as well. You mentioned connecting to health or to government. Can you give an example of one of those more holistic experiences where you're connecting the entertainment to something else? I'd love to just get a fuller picture of that.
Yeah, sure. So one thing that you have to remember that data is driving like how we are stitching together those various elements. Because if I'm watching a movie and there are certain part of the movie that I'm interested in, and then let's say my favorite actor or actress is drinking a can of Coke. And I felt like at the time that, hey, I should have actually had a can of Coke in my hand while I'm watching the movie. Then can I do targeted promotion and targeted advertising? Only data can actually lead me to that answer. That why don't I show through a pop-up screen that Coke is available, probably 2 kilometers down the road, and from this place, and you can just click on the button, and we can make a sales order to the place which will be delivering the Coke at your home. Yes, you have to then pause your movie and then you have to collect it from the door, but at least it is there for you. Similarly, we can do several recommendations of other services that are available. We can do in-app upsell, and we can do some other targeted advertising to drive more revenue. And you know what we can sort of like give to the user is that user almost feels like they don't have to move away from in front of the TV, right? And when we bring that together with things like session continuity, so where we can have the same movie or the TV shows continuing from where you have left off from the TV screen, and then you can watch it on your handheld device, and you actually have a multi-screen experience. So that means you can not only move in and around the house, you can even go outside and go to meet a friend, but on the way there, while you are commuting, you can still continue to watch the TV show or the movie that you were watching at home.
That's ideal. Never miss a moment of your content, regardless of where you're moving. You have some interesting data on the audience experience with streaming. Can you share some of that and how you're trying to make that experience as positive as possible?
Yeah. So what users want is that they just want to click on the video screen and they expect that the video will just play. There shouldn't be any video startup time. There should not be any buffering. The quality will be seamless. And they don't literally care that if they have any internet connectivity issue or they are at a spot where there is a network congestion. So they just want the video to work, right? So then what we are doing is we are identifying several data points in our streaming value chain and trying to identify where there are opportunities we could give a best experience to the user, be it in terms of the different bitrate, be it in terms of applying low latency streaming, be it in terms of even preloading some of the content. And we have this concept of pre-buffering. So before the content starts, the content is already buffered on the user side, so that way the user is not able to see the video startup time or a buffering wheel. So some of the other data points that we are focusing on is that where really exactly is the bottleneck and what the users are telling us, not only through the data that we are capturing, but also from their received experience, for example, through the social media sites in Reddit and Twitter and so on, and how we can bring them all together. And it's a massive data science exercise, as you can understand, collecting the logs, focusing on individual user behavior, as well as also see what these users are talking about, and then applying the feedback logic and then improving the streaming experience.
Wow. Let's move into the emerging trends. What are you seeing in some of the digital distribution? We've talked about some of them already, but are there any others that you want to hit on?
Yeah. So what I would say is that we need a set of foundational capabilities that will need to come together to create this end-to-end digital distribution chain working. So the first one is a set of APIs and onboarding mechanism for content providers, the content partners, and application providers to come on, so that, and also they can also have this digital interface and tools so that they can quickly build an application rather than going through a cycle of couple of quarters. Rather, there are templated applications that are available that could be taken and customized, as well as the APIs are available to connect the different data points together to create that integrated experience. And we must not forget the shortcomings that the OTT providers has is the underlying network, because they don't have a network. But when you bring in that network aspect, so let's say you go and partner with one of the service providers, or even for that matter, you go and partner with Google, and you are relying on their network and their content distribution mechanism, like the content, the CDN and the caching mechanism. Then what you are doing is you are bringing the content closer to the eyeballs, so that the users don't have to rely on a best effort service on the internet. So those three things, like the onboarding API, the digital interface for creating the application, and as well as the network, they all have to come together to create this integrated experience. And once we have these foundations in place, we can think about the art of the possible. So there are so many different applications that we can create, be it universal UI and search. So that means if I'm doing a search on my streaming interface about Brad Pitt, I should know Brad Pitt movies available in Hulu and Netflix and YouTube and wherever else. And I can pick and choose that which streaming service that I want to stream that content from. I can have AR, VR 360-degree immersive interface. I can have that integrated experience I talk about Watch Party, where I can combine chat interface, calling interface, video conferencing, as well as watching the same content together at one place. I talked about session continuity, how users don't have to leave in front of the glass where the content is getting rendered. So be it TV or a mobile or an iPad screen. There could be other things such as where we can create multi-angle streaming. We can give the users multi-screen experience as well. And if I'm watching a tennis match, rather than just looking at Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer playing between themselves, I can have multiple camera angles all rendered in the page, different angle within the court as well as the audience. Plus, there are places where I can engage with the fans, and I can create fantasy league. I can interact with sports betting. I can even crowdsource the metadata where I can tag and identify the quick highlights, so that that becomes sort of like a source for additional audience to look into. Rather than they spend the 3 or 4 hours match, they can just have a heat map of where the major highlights within the game is, and they can watch it. And this whole concept around sports and bringing in the analytics, the fantasy league, the user engagement, really what we are trying to do there is create a sports cockpit. So where the user is in control, rather than the streaming services is in control. Because at the end of the day, these are the people who are paying us the money. These are the people who are asking for the experience. And rather than us being in control, control should be on them.